Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video where we'll be going over Leetcode number 511, which is Gameplay Analysis 1. This is a database problem, and my name's Chris, and let's get into it. So when we first pull up the problem, we'll see that we have a table named Activity. This table has the column names Player ID, Device ID, Event Date, and Games Played. And we're expected to write an SQL query to report the first login date for each player. So when we first think of this, we can think of how we're going to structure this date problem and then also how we're going to limit that to each player. So usually whenever you want to return one thing, like each individual row from a table where it doesn't match other rows, you're going to want to use something like a group by. And we'll get into how that works in just a second. So the first thing we want to look at is what exactly we're returning. So we're going to return the player ID column and only with the distinct values. And then we also want their first login date, which is going to be pulled from the event date column. And the way you work with dates in SQL is you can use min or max functions with dates, and through that you can pull the first date that something occurred or the last date something occurred. So a max date function or a max function looking at dates would give you the latest date, and the min function to use with dates would give you the first date. So we're going to start off with a regular select statement. So we'll just do select. Then we're also going to just do player ID. We don't have to rename that column or anything, so we don't have to use an as statement. Then we're just going to put a comma, and then we do want to return, if we go back to our prompt, the first login date. So otherwise that would just be the min from the event date column for each player, and I'll show you how we return each player's information moving into the group by function. So we'll just do min, and in this min function you're just going to put a column name, which we can just put event date. And if we just leave this without an as statement, we will return a column named min event date, just as it appears here. So we just want to rename that to as first login. Then we're going to do a from statement, which is just going to say what table we're pulling from. And we're given the table as activity. So we're just going to keep that as activity. And then now we have it where it will select the one individual event date. So if we were to run this, all we're going to get is one column with one date and one player ID. So you can see we get player ID 1, and he is the first person to ever log in, which is what the min function does. But if we pair this function and the setup that we already got with a group by function, it's going to return values for each row where you designate which column you're grouping by. So each distinct value in that row will get its own row with the min event date. So if we group by our player ID, all that's going to do is it's going to return a column for 1, a column or a row for 1. It's going to return a row for 2 and a row for 3. And then it's going to apply the rest of this stuff to those individual subsets. So it's going to look at 3 and 3, and it's going to return the minimum date from those two. And then it will also look at that for 1 and then for 2 as well, but 2 doesn't have anything to compare to. So now if we run this code, we'll see that we're given the first login date for each player. And then this will work with all example test cases. So this is just an introduction to how powerful the group by function is, and really give you a way of working with dates as well. So using the minimum or the maximum function along with a column name will give you the first time or the last time something has occurred. And that's going to make this problem an easy problem because we can just use this one function. But if we were to have to select something more in the middle, we would have to do further data manipulation, probably through selecting different subsets and working with those subsets. So I would like to thank you all for tuning into this video, and I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future content on these Leetcode problems. And also, if you would have solved this problem in a different manner or would like to suggest something to solve in the future, please just leave that down in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Thank you for joining me and see you next time.